Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. It is Overreaction Monday after a tie. I still can't believe the Cowboys tied the Packers, despite the offense playing out of their minds, both sides really. 40-40 was the tie in that one. Appreciate everyone who tuned in for our watch party. You guys are awesome. 2,000 plus new subscribers. Happy to have you guys here. If you are a new subscriber, welcome. Make sure your notifications are set to all. That way you won't miss any of our videos that get a push notification. We're going to be live later this afternoon as well, so don't miss out. Go into your settings, change those notifications where you first subscribe, click that bell icon, change it from personalized to all. Let's dive into the overreactions. And you knew we were going to begin with number one with, right? Is anyone surprised our first overreaction is fire Matt Eberflus? No, of course not. And this is a valid crash out because I was, again, crashing out over this Cowboys defense. And I feel like I'm going to be crashing out over it all season long. This defense is so bad. Unacceptable levels of bad. They cannot do anything right. One of the other Cowboys media was like, they improved. No, they didn't. They made one play all night long, really. They made a really key strip sack by James Houston, and then James Houston was like hardly out there after that. What are we doing out here? This defense is ruining everything about this team. Like, you have like the number one offense in yards per game, I believe. I think what's going into Monday Night Football, and you had almost 450 again. Like, your offense is lights out, and your defense, how many defenders does it take to turn on a light bulb? Like, it's a joke across the board right now how bad this defense is. You need changes. You know, you talked about doing personnel changes. You didn't really. You kind of rotated Diggs and Bland in there on a pitch count. You benched Damone Clark from Marist Liufau / Shemar James. We'll talk about the linebackers later on today. Like, this guy has to be better. Like, you can't just keep constantly getting gashed through the air and expect things to be different. Like, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm 4 games in on him at this point. Get it together, or else this is quickly going down the way of Mike Nolan. So do you want Matt Eberflus fired? I'm sure there will be plenty of yeses, but it's your chance to vote at the pinned comment of today's show. Why for yes, you want Matt Eberflus fired, and for no, you do not. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Why for yes and for no do you want Flus fired? I feel like Bears now talking about that nonstop. Go figure. Overreaction number 2, go trade for some defensive help. I am going to admit I am taking the coward's way out here. You don't have to make a decision for about a month, so I have time to kind of slow play and see how things turn out to an extent. On one hand, look, everyone with eyeballs, and even if you have a functioning sense, even if it's just taste, we all know this defense needs help. Like, it's a mess. You don't have enough edge rush help. Your linebacking core, which we'll get to in a little bit, is a disaster class. Your secondary is not making plays, period. Your defense needs help. My concern and my only pushback here is, how do you get that help? You know, can that help be saved and help save the season mid-season? Are you able to, at a reasonable cost, because you can start waving around first-round picks, but, like, is that actually in your best interest short-term and long-term? Depends on the player. Like, can you get enough help in the right value bucket to justify making a trade because your defense is so bad? You're kind of at the point where you need such massive impact, you almost might be better off keeping your powder dry. Now, your offense is playing so well, I feel bad putting them up on a sacrificial lamb each week. But if you can find help at a reasonable cost, go do it. I'm open to edge rusher help. Dante Fowler has been a pretty big disappointment to me. Sam Williams' biggest play this year was a face mask on a sack, which of course, like I go back and forth on this. I am going to keep throwing out ideas, throwing out names, discussing names as we see them come up. I haven't seen one that I go, that's the one yet to really help this defense out at a reasonable price. I would like to find somebody young who's relatively cost-controlled and can be here for multiple years and is obviously a good player. The issue is those guys don't normally become available. So should the Cowboys make a trade? I am looking at defense almost exclusively right now, despite your injuries on the offensive line. 1 for yes, 0 for no. Do you think the Cowboys need to go out there and make something happen in the trade side? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let's go to the linebackers here. Do you need linebacker help? That's overreaction number 3. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. Like, come on. This linebacking core is terrible. I am so disappointed with really everybody's play in the linebacker room. Who is making impacts out here? You know, they tried Shemar James. He's young. He's athletic. I don't think he was a huge liability. Kenneth Murray is the same guy he was in LA, the same guy he was in Tennessee, same guy everyone warned everyone about. Jack Sanborn is normally in the right place, but he's just too slow. He just doesn't have the athletic juice. Marist Liufau, they played him more. What were his big moments today? Or last night, I should say, / into the morning. The missed tackle and a stupid penalty. Damone Clark got scratched because he wasn't playing well either. I need Overshown back ASAP, but even he alone might not be enough. But again, it's late September. Finding that help is tough. I think we'll do a full video, though, on linebacker targets, free agency, and trade. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You can pick more on Josh Allen's passing yards, rush yards, and touchdowns. You can pick them all in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. You can also follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, somebody partner, or someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button, check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. This is my Monday Night Football slate. Justin Fields more than passing yards against a shaky Dolphins defense. It's Miami and Dallas are the 2 worst defenses in football. Bo Nix, I like this one. Less than 11.5 on the longest run, which means you got to split it out the entire game. But the Bengals' run D has been a little bit better this year, actually. Outside of the edges have been a bit of a huge issue there. Breece Hall, more than a half touchdown. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Let's talk about your quarterback here. Overreaction number 4. Dak Prescott absolutely is playing at an MVP level. I think this is the proper reaction. Doesn't mean he's going to win MVP, because MVP is in part a wins metric, and you know, you're 1-2-1 because your defense is mega booty. You know what? Like, it's not Dak's fault that the defense is so terrible they can't do anything. But he's dealing. I legitimately, I think you could make an argument that last night against the Packers was one of, if not the best game Dak Prescott's played. Outside of the one deep crosser he missed to Jalen Tolbert, it damn near perfect in that game. He had about as many drops as he had bad throws in that matchup. Like, he was on fire, had 4 touchdowns in total. They ran the quarterback draw. He looks awesome. And it's disappointing when the defense is just completely failing and the supporting cast, and with the drops in week 1, are not backing him up at all. The level of play we're seeing from Dak Prescott is incredible. It is up there with the best he's played in his career. Everything he is doing seems to be working. Going to Brian Schottenheimer as the play caller seems to have benefited Prescott, which I guess makes sense. It is a pretty heavy Dak-influenced offense. Probably more so than it was with McCarthy, but he's carrying this team. The offense in general, run game, there's been enough run game and enough supporting cast help that you're able to get the best version of Dak Prescott this season. The record just doesn't show it. Even the raw stats until this game hadn't really showed it, but he has been playing at an incredibly high level and is the single biggest reason, outside of, maybe Brandon Aubrey gets put in that conversation too, that the Cowboys are actually competitive in their games this season, because the defense is so bad. So be honest with me. Grade Dak Prescott this year. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. A, B, C, D, or F. Overreaction number 5. You got to pay George Pickens now. I'm going to preface this by saying it's nothing about Pickens' play that is why I put this out there. But I am not going to get my hopes up for the Cowboys paying George Pickens right now. And he was awesome. Don't get me wrong. He played incredible outside of the one drop, whatever, against the Packers. He very much stepped up with his play. But part of that play is why I'm not going to get my hopes up for the Cowboys getting a deal done right now with George Pickens. He stepped up. He was the number 1 wide receiver the Cowboys so badly needed with CeeDee Lamb out. 8 catches, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is the best version of George Pickens the Cowboys were hoping for. The problem the Cowboys are now running into as it relates to Pickens is it makes a whole lot more sense for Pickens and his camp to wait. They are probably the ones who aren't, falling over themselves to get a deal done right now. That is how he maximizes his leverage, how he maximizes his best shot at a massive contract. And I hold no ill will at all towards Pickens in that regard. This is how you maximize it. And I think both sides know that, actually. I think both sides know that it makes more sense for Pickens to wait on a deal. The franchise tag for this upcoming season is a projected $28 million. It's a lot of money. And if you're Pickens, you're kind of viewing that as like your goal of the worst case scenario of, hey, I get tagged for $28 million. He's probably going to want to get that figure right now if they were to do an in-season deal. Now, the risk is his play declines a little bit. He's not as effective when Lamb gets back, whatever. But the flip side is, well, if they don't tag him at that figure, he's a free agent. And the wide receiver market is kind of insane. There hasn't been a player of his caliber to truly hit free agency in a while. It could be kind of a stupid large contract if it gets to that point. So I think Pickens, I understand why, is going to wait.